It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence of Sound and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making your way here and checking out this episode in this series. If you like what you hear and you're not already, I really hope you hit the subscribe button. Become a subscriber of this series because we put out 3 brand new interviews every single week. A new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists, discover new ones, and know what's happening in the music world. You can find us at all the major spots too. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast, or even YouTube, where a lot of video versions of these interviews land over there. And I'm Kyle Meredith. Today I'm going to be talking with legendary guitarist of The Doors, Robby Krieger. He's got a couple of things in the mix. We'll be discussing the 50th anniversary of The Doors' Morrison Hotel, a record that he says was kind of a back to basics. Jim Morrison wanted to do a blues album. We'll talk about the guitar solo on the song Peace Frog. It's one of my favorite moments on that album, which Krieger will tell you was really Chuck Berry inspired. And we'll hear about Roadhouse too, especially with Lonnie Mac playing bass on that song and how he ended up in the band for that temporary moment. And then into the more present day, Krieger has just come out with a brand new record, his first one in a while, called The Ritual Begins at Sundown. I find a connection between this and Morrison Hotel in a song called The Hitch, a very blues-based track. There's also a strong Frank Zappa connection on this record as well. And he gives us a very small tease about next year's 50th anniversary of The Doors' LA Woman. Let's get into it. It's Kyle Meredith with Robby Krieger.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, man. I know we got a couple things to talk about. A brand new album, The Ritual Begins at Sundown, which I absolutely love, and the 50th anniversary of The Doors' Morrison Hotel. Revisiting the past. I mean, this is first off, congratulations on that new record.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's the first one in a while.
Yeah, I guess it is. And I'll tie into that in just a few moments, but, quickly hitting on that 50th of Morrison Hotel. It's interesting now that I look back on it. I can't be the first person to say this, too, because it seems like a lot of critics at that point had written about it being kind of this, return to basics, the blues album, but it's still kind of a high art. I mean, it's painted as a concept album. When prior you had seemed to have made like epic single songs, but not a full record. Was that the intent going into Morrison Hotel?
Well, we just wanted to get kind of back to basics, and do make a fun album, you know what I mean? Because the one before, Soft Parade, it just kind of took forever, and it was like, it had all that extra stuff on it with the horns and strings. So we wanted to do something, more fun for us, and it was, I wrote a lot of new music ideas, and Jim did all the words on this album. So, the previous one I had written quite a few of the words, and there was some good stuff, Touch Me and all that, but we wanted to get back to the basics, and Jim really wanted to do a blues album. That was his idea, and and there was some kind of bluesy stuff on there, especially Roadhouse.
And you may not have written the songs, but your stamps are all over this. One of my favorite moments on that album is your solo in Peace Frog, because it's just seamless how it's part of the musical conversation. Did you plan those out, or is that just the way it flows out of you?
On that one, I wanted to kind of play something Chuck Berry-like, but then they put all this echo on it and stuff, and it kind of made it different. But I'd never really done Chuck Berry, who I loved, That's really why I started playing electric guitar, was because of Chuck Berry. And, everybody, of course, copies Chuck Berry, but I tried to do something like him, but a little different,
I love it. I love that moment. You mentioned Roadhouse Blues, and on the this anniversary edition, we do hear, several versions of that and different bass players, which is always the really interesting thing about those alternate takes. What were you looking for, to go through several bass players or finally arriving at the final one, I guess?
Well, the feel, that's what you always want from a bass player. And actually, I believe on Roadhouse, it was Lonnie Mac was the only bass player on that one. We had another guy, Ray Neapolitan. Maybe he was on one of the other takes or something, but I forget. But it was just amazing to have Lonnie play bass because, he'd never played bass before, believe it or not. And, he was a guitar player. He was a famous guitar player. And the funny thing was that at that point, he had quit music. He had it. He was sick of it. And he was selling Bibles out of the back of his car. Yeah, and one of the at Elektra just happened to see him driving down the street. And hey, Lonnie, what are you doing? And he got him a job at Elektra, just kind of to be a handyman, sweep up the place, whatever, And he hadn't been playing. And our bass player, Ray Neapolitan, didn't show up that night for one reason or another. And so we asked him, hey, Lonnie, can you play bass on this? It's just a blues, He said, well, I'll try. I never played bass before. But he played the most amazing bass part. I'm sure you noticed it, but when it goes into that chorus, it's just like a freight train, man. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say, kind of tying it in, as far as the blues go, it does make an appearance on your new record, The Ritual Begins at Sundown. To me, at least, as I hear it, the Hitch could be the connector between the two albums we're talking about today. It certainly feels that way. Yeah,
I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, we just did a video of the Hitch a couple of weeks ago. We actually did it was a video for Burning Man, and we put it was mostly the Doors stuff, but then we stuck the Hitch in there, and we're using it as a video for my album. You can see it on my website if you want, robbykrieger.com.
Yeah, there's you're playing with some old friends that used to also be in Zappa's band, and you talk about him quite a lot. What do you still get from Zappa's music? Because there does seem to be that obvious influence on your new record.
Well, I used to know Frank back in the Mothers of Invention days, and then to tell you the truth, I was not really a big fan of them. I thought their music was, was good, but he would always have to have these, jokes and try to make it funny, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. But then he started getting a little more serious. After that, he get guys like George Duke and all these fantastic musicians, and at that point, my buddy Arthur Barrow became his bass player and band leader, and so that's when I met Arthur and started writing stuff with him, and I was just getting into jazz at that time, and so Arthur knew a lot of the other Zappa guys, and so that they turned out that a lot of them got to be on this album. So it's not as though we were trying to recreate Zappa or anything. It was just a lot of the, just that Frank was great at finding these musicians, and I used them.
Well, the results are fantastic, Robby. I really do enjoy hearing this record, The Ritual Begins at Sundown. I've heard you say that there are other albums in the can, so hopefully we'll hear those sooner than later at some point. But congratulations on this one. And thank you for all the music in the past, too, with the Doors. Again, that 50th anniversary of Morrison Hotel as well.
All right. Next year we're going to have the 50th of L.A. Woman, so there'll be some cool stuff on that, too.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Robby. It was great talking to you.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
All right, bye. My thanks to Robby Krieger. My thanks to you for checking out this episode. Again, before you get out, I do hope you hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with all of the interviews that we put out every single week. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, or wherever you like to get your podcasts from. Just type in Kyle Meredith hit subscribe, and then head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, and bonus interviews. Again, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence of Sound has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them at Kyle Meredith. Hope you like and follow along there as well. And that does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith, and I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Do you read Stephen King? Good news. There's a club for you. The Losers Club. Every Friday, us losers journey through the never-ending wastelands of King's Dominion. We sink our teeth into each of King's novels, dive deep into the lore, and review every adaptation. Even better, we're always having guests over. Thomas Jane, Will Wheaton, Mary Lambert, Mick Garris, the list goes on. So what are you waiting for? Join us as we read on through long days and pleasant nights.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.